Hi. Hi, everyone. At first, I was told to present from there. That would have been, weird, me talking from there. But we figured it out, so that's good. Yes, I'm going to talk about 10 great misconceptions designing for the Apple Watch. So, as an enthusiast of all things digital and gadgets and Internet of Things, I was one of the first to kind of waiting for the computer, refresh the Apple page, and actually buy the Apple Watch. And of course, having done that, I wanted to design for it. So while doing that, and from a user standpoint, so I was actually using the device, I started noticing a few things that I missed before I was actually having it when I tried to design for it. So this is what this presentation is about. So this is me. I studied at UCL. Then I went to a startup, financial startup, Red Kite. Then went to another one, Nice Actimize. Did a bit of consulting at Accenture, and now I'm working for Thomson Reuters as an interaction designer. And so let's talk about wearables. Do you know this guy? Good. So that was my childhood hero. He had everything he wanted on him. So Inspector Gadget, for those who don't, basically lives in wearables. His cape is a wearable, which was amazing. And it's not just him. Penny and the dog. Penny had a smartwatch back then. Do you remember what the show dates from? And the dog had a communication device. His collar was a communication device. So they were all wearing wearables. I think that's the perfect example. So let's view a few of those. There are wearables that you put on the wrist. So one interesting one is this device. So you wear this to basically not drown in water. So what this does is quite genius, actually. If you swim and something happens and you feel that you can't make it to the top, then you pull a string, this inflates, and then you just back up, alive and well. The next one is when you're running and you need a GPS, but you want to carry everything on you, and that's quite old. So you put this device in the shoe, and it counts this data for you. Another one is for a belt. So it happens to us every time when you're out and you're running out of battery and you don't know what to do. So now you can wear the charger. So this is where things have gotten nowadays. So you can actually wear your charger and charge the device, which kind of, I guess, help people get out more, because sometimes if the battery life is below 40%, you kind of think twice. This is goggles for whoever likes skiing. And it gets all the information that you need, the route and everything. And it stores this data so you can have access to it later. So there are different types of gadgets, and this is a medical one. I thought it was quite interesting. And this tracks epilepsy. So if someone gets an epilepsy incident, then the next of kin is notified and they're able to act on it. So that's quite good. This, we all know what this is. This was one of the first wearables. The ankle monitor. A lot of R&D has been done in order to improve this. And this is night goggles for espionage, stuff like that. Well, we all know that. Google Glasses does all kinds of things. And this is my favorite. So this is basically an NFC tattoo that you have that unlocks your phone. So yes, things can get a little bit too far sometimes. And what all these have in common, though, from the weirdest one to the most interesting one, they all serve a purpose. So it's quite important because they all have this one thing. They do great, they do it well, and you're wearing on it. So they also need to do it in an elegant way, which brings me to this. So this is our favorite wearable. The watch does one thing great, tells time, but at the same time, it's also more like a fashion item. So you like wearing it. There are tons of different types of watches that do this one thing, which is tell time. And also these other bits. So I don't know if anyone actually knows what these rounded gauges do. But all in all, what it does is that it tells time. So it does one thing, and it does it great. So the watch on the right-hand side also tells time. But it has all these other infinite possibilities, all these different apps that also do this one thing. So they need this one thing to be done right, which brings me to that all the apps need to have a purpose. So the apps, in general, can be designed in a way that they either answer a question. So what do I need to know right now? So they give information about things. So we can boil it down to these two things. And what do you need to do? So there's an action, so you can act on something, depending on the context always. So before we get to there, I'm going to show you the 10 great misconceptions designing for the Apple Watch. So one is this. So everyone is very excited and very proud of their apps. I am. And they do so many cool things. So let's transfer them all on the watch. So that's great and it's amazing. But I'm going to tell you a story. So what happened to me, actually what happened to a friend of mine, is that he had this application. And he was asked to come up with a concept to make a watch version of it. So this application consists of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things. Counting right? Yeah. So 7 things. Okay, 5 of them or 4 of them are quite important. Let's get those things and let's create a watch app that has the same navigation. So these are all amazing. So let's put them all in the watch and then you can tap on each one of them. Each one of them has a specific, distinct functionality. So that will work. But this guy, this friend of mine, bought a watch. And he started using it. And then he figured out that maybe, all the features cannot be carried over on the watch. Because the watch is meant to have quick glances, quick interactions. No one's going to stand there for a few moments and just go through an endless scroll, an endless list of things, and then as they're walking, it's kind of specific one. If there's a column in from. So there's no way we can handle this, so ergonomics-wise. And the watch is not meant to design that. So what features should be carried over to the watch? What is the unique selling point? What is the main thing that this application has that is okay for it to be transferred on the watch? And navigation is crucial. You can easily get lost. So now that friend of mine knows better. And he can design with a different mindset, the new version. Second one is that people have time to enjoy my app on the watch. The problem is that they don't. Because if you're sitting like that for more than 30 seconds, then your hand starts getting a little bit tired. And then you're not able to sustain this. And the watch is one-hand device. So you need one finger to actually point to things and select things, and at the same time you're walking. So it goes like that. So your vision is a bit blurred. So it's really hard to enjoy an app, like a full app on the watch. There's no time. So Apple suggests 2 to 5 seconds for its interaction and 30 seconds overall for an app. So I think it's quite important. The third one is showing notifications is enough. So there is this conception that the watch and all the smartwatches are just notification devices. So now that I have this, and just showing a notification that something happened is enough. But there's a problem there, because notifications by itself, if the app can only show notifications on the watch, then maybe it doesn't have to be on the watch, because the apps can't show notifications on the watch anyway. That's like in iOS. For instance, if you go, but at the same time, notifications can be really, really powerful. So a good example is the airport tickets. So you go to the airport, there's context there. The app knows that you're close to the airport, and it shows you a notification that your flight is about to fly. So you see that on the watch, and as you scroll past, you see this little QR code. So that QR code is basically your boarding pass. So now, with just a notification, you can just scan your boarding pass, and that notification becomes quite powerful. So if it's just a notification, then it doesn't bring too much value to the watch. The fourth one is this one. So my app is amazing. It has a great icon. I love it. And people will easily find it on the home page. But there's a problem there. So the watch has been designed so that you don't fiddle about with it too much. But at the same time, Apple wanted people to be able to see all their apps on the watch. So what happens there is that there is no search. So it's not like now that you pull and then you type and then you see the app. So there's no easy way to find the app on the homepage. And at the same time, there are no labels. So it's quite hard. So there's a workaround for this, which is glances. So glances basically are live shortcuts. So the watch like that, you swipe up, and you're able to see a tiny piece of information which is deemed really, really important that the app can show to you. So for instance, if the application is about stocks and you follow Apple, then when you swipe up, you can see the Apple stock and how is it going at the moment, which is not very well, by the way. So glances are a good way to bring the shortcuts, to bring, it's a quick way as a shortcut to actually view the app on the phone and launch it. And a way to design for that is, for instance, this one. This is a tip. So when you swipe down from the iPhone, on the iPhone, you see the notification center. So the notification center is small widgets, and these widgets are quite important piece of information that belong to the app. And if you tap on a widget, it's a shortcut to the app. So if you design with the notification center mindset, then it's kind of the same as if designing for a glance. Because you can see it's similar information on the glance, and when you tap on the glance, the same way as you would tap on the notification center, will launch the app, and then you'll be able to start using it. The fifth one is that people can post from the watch. They can, but there's a caveat. It's really, really hard because there's no keyboard. And there shouldn't be a keyboard because it would be too tiny and our hands are just so big. So there's no way you can type anything. The emojis are basically a workaround for this. And the heartbeat and sketches, it's more intimate. And it only works Apple Watch to Apple Watch. And people are still shy around Siri. And whenever there's like a voice input, I don't see many people on the bus or on the tube like raising their watch and actually shouting things. Let's meet at 5 or stuff like that. So it's really, really hard to rely on voice as an input for an app. So if it's like a note-taking app or a Dear Diary app, especially that one, that'll be really, really hard to design for it, and I don't think it will excel on the watch. The other one, 6, is, yes, the conception that the Apple Watch is a tiny iPhone. It's kind of right hardware-wise, but when you get to design for it, there's like an entirely new set of principles and guidelines that need to be followed. The problem with this, and there was a link to a video, to make sure we can see. Yes, so this is Android Wear. And this guy managed to create a game, which is amazing, by the way, development-wise. And as you can see, he's using both hands. But it's supposed to be a wearable, so it kind of defies the purpose of a wearable. And they're controls. So the whole thumb basically covers the whole screen. Anyone remember Croc? It's amazing. So yes, what I'm getting at is that there's no way you can design with this mindset on the watch, because even though it has the power of a smartwatch, of a smartphone, it doesn't. The screen needs different principles and different directions, which Apple and Google have provided. So as long as we follow them, I think everything's going to be fine. We're good. The next one is this. That was my mistake. I can design for the Apple Watch without owning one. I had cutouts and I had templates downloaded from the internet. I had everything. So I was able to design without owning one, which led me to that problem, trying to design everything for the watch, which didn't work. So you can develop for the Apple Watch without owning one, and it's fine. But designing is a different story. You need to make sure that every context, that the context is there, and that the people who are going to use it you need to be able to test it under the same circumstances and context that people are going to use it in. Which brings me to, I can get away without user testing. No, but nice try. Because there's no official way of user testing on the iPhone. There are not devices that you can attach on the watch, sorry, I meant watch, on the watch to just view what's on the screen. It doesn't mean that we can't come up with things that will be useful to user test what we made. Because we made something, and this something is going to be used by someone who's going to be wearing the device this time. So it's going to be there the whole time. So the experience should be good. So we can get away with user testing. And there are other stuff that can be done. We can observe the user, or it can be diary studies, and the user can write their experiences and improve the design. 9. I can design anything. Another mistake I made. So for the phone, you can have, the phone is like a blank canvas sometimes. There are some limitations and restrictions dev-wise, but at the same time, you can design anything you want. Apple is suggesting a few patterns, they're suggesting a few guidelines, but you can basically design anything. It's not the same for the watch though. Sorry. Because for the watch, Apple has given, back in time. Yes. It has given specific components, specific widgets that you basically put together, and then you design the app. So for instance, there are 2 or 3, I think, only navigation paradigms at the moment, and they can be mixed and matched at the same time. So studying the guidelines is a good starting point. There are, of course, workarounds, but these workarounds are based on this very specific set of principles. And by the way, this is, as of now, the current version of the Apple Watch operating system is 2. So maybe a year from now, this could be wrong. But this is what exists at the moment. So unfortunately, the video, for instance, in an animation, is a series of images. It's a GIF. So there are restrictions there. 10. Yes. So which brings me to the 10th one, which kind of encompasses everything. So I have an app. I'm very proud about it. Therefore, it should be on a watch. The watch is a new device, is a brand new item, it's a gadget, it's something really nice that I have and I own, and I really want to see my app there. But should it be there? So there are a few questions that can be asked, and depending on the answer, does it solve a problem on the wrist? Or does it create one? Is the unique selling point of this application transferable to the watch? So does it make sense for the app to be on the watch, is where I'm getting at. And the third one is, does it make the app experience better when accessed from the wrist? So if all these are no, then maybe we need to reconsider. But how do we know that the app should be on the watch? And I'm going to give some examples here. So remember, there were 2 principles or questions that I suggest we ask before we design an app. So one is, what do you need to know? So it's the information that the app is giving to you. And what do you want to do? So it's the action. So now you're engaging the app to do something. So these are 2 different paradigms and 2 different workflows. First one, information. So a really nice app that I've been using is the weather app. So the question here is, what's the weather? And as we see on the TV, it's going to be, the weather is 18 degrees outside, and it's raining at the moment in your area. The temperature will fluctuate from 18 to 13 degrees. During the day, the temperature is going to look like that. During the week, like that. And this is some other more detailed information you might be interested in. So this is basically information prioritization. The density changes. So you start with a very basic, what I need to know right now, which is the degrees, up to what it actually feels like. So let's put this to the test. It's 18 degrees outside. So there's that. That's called a complication So complication is a tiny, very tiny bit of information that rests on the watch face. So every time I do this and I raise my wrist, I see that complication there. So 18 degrees outside, it's all I need to know. Every time I wake up, I put my watch on, and this is the first thing I need to know to know what to wear. So the second bit of information is that it is raining at the moment in your area, so I'm interested in this, and the temperature will fluctuate. So that's a glance. So I know the weather, but I kind of want to know the highs and lows and if it's raining or not. So a glance provides this type of information. But I want to know more things during the day, so they get an umbrella with me. So during the day, the temperature is going to look like that. So now I tapped on the glance and launched the app. And the app now is giving me all this information that I care about. Or during the week, I was going to be during the week. Now I'm in the app and I'm actually interacting with it. But that's it. Because now if I want to know even more things, like the sunrise or the sunset or the winds or the pressure, that's not something that I'm really interested in to see on the watch as I'm walking or as I'm doing something else, which is the context of use. So in this case, I just use my phone. So it's fine to have more granular detail on the phone. And the second bit is, what do you want to do? So this is the action. You engage the app. So it's you going to the app. Let's bring City Matter as an example. So I want to go home. This is what I want to do. I'm outside, I'm scared, it's cold, and I want to go home. So the way that I'm going home is not changing whether I'm wearing a watch or whether I'm using a phone. So I should see the exact same thing. What is changing is the amount of information I want around this trip. So I want to go home. I launch City Mapper and I tap on the home button, which, by the way, in the future, it could be a complication because at the moment, Apple is not allowing third-party apps to create complications for the phone, but this will change with the new operating system. So I'm assuming that City Mapper could have this icon there on a complication, so I don't even need to go to the app. Like from the watch face, I can tap on this little icon there, and I could just see this. So that's the best route it can find. I'm on my way. I'm using my wrist, which means I'm in a hurry. Let's go. How do I get there? So I walk to the station, and this journey should be exactly the same if I was using the phone. So this information is there because it fills the whole screen, and it's exactly what you need to know for a first screen. I walk to Tower Hill. It will take this amount of minutes, and the train will arrive in this minute. This is information that can fit on a single page, and at the same time is very, very useful to me. So now, as you can see, on the phone, you can just scroll like a nice page. But here, they've designed it in a way that its bit of information, you basically slide across. So this type of navigation figured out that it's best here. This is the map of where I want to go. And now these are the stops. So on the left, I keep scrolling. On the right, I've swiped right now. Sorry, left. And I see everything. Now the next bit. Yes, apparently I live in Big Ben. But that was the sample place. And now I need more information, like other things. So if I'm not in a hurry, I can just take my phone out and see how many calories I'm going to burn if I'm going to walk home, and see stuff like that. But when you're on a watch, the context of use is not how many calories I'm going to burn. It's how I'm going to get there as soon as possible. And with one tap, I just want to know the directions. Another thing is that I might want to share this trip with friends, with family, with people, so that they know that I'm leaving now. It's very late, so I want to be safe. But this is stuff that can be done a lot easier if you just do this, open it, go to the app, and do things, because this is a lot easier. So it's a different context. So, and by the way, yes, so this is information, as we said before. The amount of information is fine to be transferred on the phone, but the directions and the action should be the same on the watch as it's on the phone. So if we recap, these are the 10 kind of misconceptions, at least I had, so I'm happy to share them with you today. And to recap them is, 1, my app does many cool things and I should transfer them all to the watch. I'm going to be very careful with this. 2 is that people have time to join my app on the watch. They don't. 3 is showing notification is enough. If this is the case, then maybe we should rethink actually doing something on the watch. 4 is that people will find my app easily on the homepage. Maybe glances will help. It will be a very smart, alive shortcut. People can post on the watch. Yes, but we shouldn't base the entire concept of the app of people posting something. Like Twitter, for instance, or Instagram. That's the example I wanted to use before. So Instagram, to me, is not a useful app on the watch. Because the screen's very tiny, so I can't enjoy the picture, the image a friend of mine shared. And it's not that I can need to know at every single time the type of images that my friends are sharing. So I'm not sure if the unique selling point of Instagram is transferable to the phone, apart from the notification, of course. So the other one is that the Apple Watch is a tiny iPhone. We saw the amazing game there. I can design for the Apple Watch without owning one. I did it. It didn't work. You didn't have to buy one. I'm not saying that. But the company can buy one or lend someone. I can get away without user testing. I don't think we can ever get away without user testing when we're designing something in general. I can design anything, maybe in the future, but not at the moment. And I have an app, therefore it should be on the watch. Yes, as long as it solves a problem and it doesn't create one. That's for me. Thank you very much.